Hi there and welcome. We just need to get this sharing into the Facebook group and then we will be ready to roll. So just 1 minute to finish this techie stuff in a group. Okay. And it's preparing to live stream. Making progress there. While that's doing, I think I'm going to close this closet door. So while this is going, bones, strains, surgeries to help your body heal. Okay, there we go. And we've got that just about to Facebook where we need it. Grab my notes, bring up Facebook so we can see if anybody is there playing with us. And that would be this one. All right. Fabulous. I think we know we've got it all organized and we even know where we put it. It's a good day one. Okay, so I went for a run this morning. Yeah, we had snow overnight. We've got like about 4 or 5 inches of snow now. I'd forgotten how hard it is to run in snow. I took my trekking poles because there's always ice under the snow and I do not need another break. I need to stay upright and healthy. And so, yeah, it was hard work. Yeah, what should have taken me about an hour and 15 minutes took nearly 2 hours. That's how hard the work was. Oh my goodness. I don't want to look at what my training numbers were because I'm sure I lost some ground on that. At any rate, let's get this recording to the cloud. We apparently are. So today, very appropriately, considering what our weather is doing up here, we are going to be talking about healing physical trauma. This is the season, the beginning of the season, when especially north of the 49th parallel, we get the snow, we get the ice buildup, we get slippery sidewalks, slippery roads. We have an incredible uptick in things like broken wrists, broken arms, broken ankles as people slip and fall. And it's not pretty. And we need to talk about this stuff because even if you don't live north of the 49th parallel, these are very common injuries. And we need to understand how to work with it and how to help our bodies heal, because this is information doctors are not going to give you because it's what they don't know, right? So we are going to dive into this. Of course, we have our disclaimer. This is only for your education. You can even use it for entertainment if you want, and use this information at your own risk. What I'm doing here is I'm sharing knowledge and I'm sharing experiences. Use that how you will. So when we have an injury, a broken bone or a soft tissue injury like a strain or a sprain, or maybe a surgery where skin and muscles have been severed, have been cut in order to gain access to a point, we need to know what to do, what tools and building blocks to give our body in order to help our body heal more efficiently and more effectively. The body is totally self-healing and we know that. But it is so much better at self-healing when it has all of the right resources at hand. I feel for this kid. I mean, 2 broken legs. Oh my goodness. I just think, man, that's just nasty. We have a lot of bones in our body. We've got 206 bones, including the 3 bones in each ear that are very, very tiny. You might remember them as the malleus, incus, and stapes, or the hammer, anvil, and stirrup. And so we don't need to worry about those too much. It's not all that common to break those bones. But when we look at the rest of the body, we all know someone who's broken. Where's my cursor? My cursor's disappeared. Oh my goodness. That's not helpful. Someone who's broken a leg or an arm or fingers or ribs, right? And so we need to know what to do to help them. The composition of a bone in adults, it's about 30% organic material, mostly collagen. You know, we always think that our bones are all calcium, but they actually have a lot of protein in them in the form of collagen. Collagen is the glue that holds our cells together. We need this glue to hold that mineral matrix together that we call a bone. We need to have this collagen's purpose is to help provide flexibility and resiliency. Bones that are not flexible are brittle. Bones that are brittle break, right? Osteoblasts are responsible for collagen formation in bones, and about 4% of bones is undergoing regrowth at a time. So we need to think of our bones as very dynamic tissue that is constantly having components recycled, things being put in, things being taken out. About 70% of the bone is mineral, and it's mostly calcium and phosphate. This provides the hardness and the rigidity. Osteoclasts are responsible for bone resorption, and less than 1% of bone is being resorbed at a time. Bones are living tissue. Again, they are constantly creating collagen. We are constantly depositing calcium and phosphate and breaking down collagen, withdrawing calcium and phosphate. It's, like I said, it's a constant dynamic. It's a constant give and take. We always have things going in, minerals and such going in, and things coming out as well. The bones are respond to physical stress. So what we know is that if we don't put stress on the bones, they don't get stronger. If we don't put stress on the bones, they actually become weaker because they don't need to be strong. Your body is smart. It knows what it needs. So that means that we need to have physical activity that puts stress on our bones, weight-bearing things, resistance training, in order to protect our bone integrity, and in order to make our body make more collagen, and in order to make our body put more calcium and more phosphate into the bones. This is so, so important. Bone tissues have no nerves. So your bones themselves have no nerves in them, which is a very good thing, but gosh darn, it hurts to break a bone. So why does it hurt? And it's because there's a wrapping around the bone called the periosteum. I think of this as the saran wrap around the sandwich, right? And this periosteum has nerves and blood supply to nourish the bone. So this periosteum is very, very sensitive. When you break a bone, the periosteum is disrupted. There'll be inflammation in the periosteum, and that's going to really hurt because of the amount of bone. And if you've got bone bruising, which happens when you break a bone, that leads to more localized inflammation as a part of the healing process, and that can really, really hurt. So what do you do if you've got a broken bone? Well, we're going to start with the most obvious, get medical attention, right? A broken bone is not something that you want to muck around with without having it evaluated. If it is truly broken, or if it's a bad green stick fracture or things like that, it needs to be set properly. So there's going to need to be x-rays. I know we don't like to use x-rays to an excess, but there's no other way to determine exactly how bad the break is, if there's bone chips in there. And once the bone is reset, there's no way to determine if it has set properly, if it's totally lined up the way it should be. And so it's really important with a broken bone to make sure you get medical attention, get the x-rays done, and do what you need to in order to assess what is going on and to make sure that things get dealt with properly. Certain breaks can be set without surgery. You know, if it's a good break and they can manipulate it, fortunately, they've got drugs to knock you out so you don't remember the pain of them manipulating it. And again, you know, we're herbalists, we don't like drugs, but oh my goodness, we are thankful for drugs sometimes. We really are. And so you know, we need to make sure it gets set. And if they can manipulate it into position, that's great. You know, they'll manipulate it, they'll cast it, they'll x-ray through the cast to make sure it's properly lined up. And if it is, then that's fabulous. But if it's not and if surgery is required, then surgery is required because a bone that is not properly aligned is not going to heal well, and there's going to be repercussions for that. So what do we want to do to help the bone heal? We need to make sure, first off, that the diet is super clean. We're going to talk about that as we go. Do I actually have that in here? I don't know if I do. Okay, so let's talk about that right now. Really important to have a super clean diet, right? This is not the time to go, oh, woe is me, I think I want some Twinkies, right? Not the time. Now's the time to go, oh, woe is me, I better get the good nutrition going in so I can get over this faster and heal really well. This is the time for good quality proteins. It's the time for lots of vegetables. It's the time for good water. It is not the time, unless your doctor says so, to stop moving, right? We need movement to circulate the blood, to circulate the lymph, to circulate the nutrients. So depending on where the break is, we need to keep moving. So if it's a broken leg and you can't weight bear on it, you can still do upper body work. If it's a broken arm and you don't want to really be doing resistance training on one side of the body and not the other, that can cause some real serious imbalances. But if it's a broken arm, then you want to be getting out for walks. Probably you're not going to be able to run if you're in a cast. It's really hard to do that because your body's unbalanced and that's going to create problems, but you can walk, right? Or you can do some resistance training with the legs on some good leg machines at a gym, for instance, or with stretchy bands. And so we need to be maintaining the exercise because the body will improve and enhance the circulation, circulate nutrients, and it's not just enhancing it to the parts that are moving, the whole body benefits. So we need to keep moving. This is so important. We need to have really good diet. No coffee, no tea, right? No white sugar, no white flour. Those are things that cost us calcium, and we can't afford that right now. So what do we want to do? We want to help the digestive system work really well. We want to make sure that we're making these great food choices, and because of the good food choices, we want to make sure we're actually able to use them. So Garden Essence enzymes, protein digestive aid, those are the Canadian products. The American product equivalents are US Proenzyme Plus and the US PDA. These are two absolute musts, right? Because we need fats and carbs and protein in order to heal this damage, this broken bone. And so we're going to use both of these with every meal to enhance our digestion so that we can break our food down into the tiniest building blocks possible so that we've got the materials we need to feed into the broken area to rebuild the area. And this is a part that is so often forgotten. You know, the doctors will say, well, make sure you take your calcium and your vitamin D. And it's like, well, what the Sam Blaze good is that going to do if you're not digesting it properly and not assimilating it properly? Remember that when we go under stress and when we're in that sympathetic response field, which we typically are for several days after a major broken bone, you might not do that with like a broken finger or a broken toe. But if you've got a bigger break with a break, one of the ways you can tell if it's broken in a lot of cases isn't just the pain and that it looks weird, but there will often be a shock response within a few minutes of the bone being broken where the person gets lightheaded, and not dizzy and nauseous, and they just feel really awful, and they're going shocky, right? And that's the body saying, we need to divert circulation away from the brain and to the part that is damaged. And so remember, if you go into a shock situation, that's the sympathetic nervous system taking over. That sympathetic nervous system is going to shut down digestion because it's just not that important to finish digesting breakfast when you've got this crisis that the body's trying to manage. And so for several days after a break, it's likely there's going to be some residual effects of being shocky. And that's why we need to make sure we've got these digestive supports happening. But we're going to take these for the duration until we know that bone is completely healed. Does that make sense? We have to take care of this from every angle. And then we need collagen. Oh my goodness. If you've been with me for more than 10 minutes, you know that I love the Nature Sunshine collagen. I've been using, they've had collagen products for the last 10 or 15 years, and I've been using them pretty much since they first came out because I understand the importance of collagen for people who are very active, which I am. But I also understand the importance of collagen to slow down the effects of aging. And I understand the importance of collagen in helping to repair tissue. And so when I've got someone who's working with a broken bone, or they've had surgery, or they've got a bad sprain or something like that, I'm going to double up on the collagen. I'm going to have them do a full dose of collagen in the morning and a full dose in the evening. Right? We're going to get them those building blocks to help them repair the tissue. Because remember, when you've had a break, your body has all the other normal maintenance things that it requires collagen for, but now it's got this broken bone that also requires collagen. So the nutrition demands skyrocket in order to repair this damage. So we have to take an increased and elevated amount of these nutrients. This collagen is just amazing. It's virtually tasteless. It hides well in everything. We can make little, that wouldn't be vegan because the collagen's not vegan, but we can make protein balls with it. We can throw it into the Inform shakes. We can do lots of things with this. You can, if you are a coffee drinker, you can put it in your coffee, although I just say get rid of the coffee and put this in something else. Right, you can put this in if you like hot cereal for breakfast, and we're getting to that time of year where I'm going to want hot cereal in the morning. You can mix it into there and you'll never know it's there. Right, beautiful, beautiful thing. Now the challenge with collagen is really the best sources are animal-based. I don't even know if you could do, if there is such a thing as a plant-based collagen. I think that would be called cellulose, and that doesn't function the same in our body at all. Minerals, we need minerals. We talked earlier about the need for the calcium and the phosphate, and of course we need magnesium with that, and we need zinc, and we need boron. We need so many minerals to repair bone tissue. And so I love the Green Zone products, and I love the skeletal strength. Now, Green Zone is a very busy formulation, so read the label carefully to make sure you don't have any issues with any of the ingredients. Like, are you allergic to alfalfa, for instance, because there's alfalfa in here. So really read your labels and check for the risk of allergy here. But the Ultimate Green Zone, very alkalizing, very mineral dense, very nutrient dense. And so you can throw some of this into your protein shake in the morning, and it's going to be like adding a handful of leafy greens. Skeletal strength, this is my all-time favorite calcium, and I use that term very loosely, supplement. And why do I use that term loosely? Because this is so much more than just calcium. It's got your magnesium, and oh my goodness, I should remember all of the things that are in this. And of course, I don't have all of my ingredients memorized. Just let me look at my product sheets that I've printed up off the website a long time ago. All right. So in here, we do have calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, that's your phosphate, vitamin C, potassium, horsetail stem, betaine hydrochloride to help you assimilate it better, parsley, valerian root, zinc, B6, iron, copper, boron, manganese, beta carotene, B12, and D3. So this is a really great, very broad product for supporting particularly the bones. It also has in the non-medicinal ingredients, like, who are we kidding? Papaya, pineapple, licorice root, right? So it's got some other things in here to help us use this better. Beautiful product. I love this as my calcium supplement, 2 tablets a day, whether I think I need them or not. And actually, I usually think I need them. All right. What else do we do if we're healing a broken bone? Well, we need to alkalize. So liquid chlorophyll is another way of doing this. Now, chlorophyll is another great source of minerals, good source of magnesium and copper and a few other things. And it tastes good and it's easy to take because you can just put it in your water or put a little bit in your protein shake. Actually, some people, because this is flavored with spearmint oil, like this as a mint tea, and they'll add a teaspoon of this to a cup of hot water. So that's another easy way to use this. I also love the essential liquid minerals. In the US, this is called the ionic minerals with acai berry. And this is, again, it's the minerals that come from ancient ocean beds. So these are the trace minerals, the micro minerals that we need for so many different things. And just really important when you know your body's under stress to tuck this in. So what you're seeing is this is not a pick and choose list. This is you need all of these things for the 6 to 8 weeks that you're going to be healing that broken bone. I know that sounds like a lot, but it is so, so important. And then of course we've got vitamin D3. You're going to see debate about should it be oil-based, should it be a tablet, does it matter? And the studies are showing that the tableted versions are just as effective as the oil versions, only the tableted ones tend to be less expensive. And so I just say go with this. Depending on where you live, in part will determine how much you need. Again, as we're moving into winter and our days are getting very short, it was very sad. Like the sun was not up till after 8 o'clock this morning. It'll be down by 7:30 tonight, and we're only partway to Christmas. And so as the days get shorter, we need more vitamin D supplementally. But as the days get shorter, if you've got a broken bone at the same time, you're going to need even more supplementally. So gauge that by where you live, by how many hours of sunshine you get, by how much sunshine you actually physically get on your smiling, radiant face, right? Because if you're not going outside at all, then you're going to need like 4,000 or 5,000 IUs of this. No questions asked. No questions asked. I don't care where you live, right? If you are getting outside and you live where there's still lots of good sunshine, you probably can get by with 3,000 or 4,000. Again, if you're in Canada, you're going to need at least 5,000, maybe even 6 while you're healing that broken bone. Now, what if you have surgery, whether it's to repair a broken bone or whether it's for some other medical condition? What if you have surgery? So with surgery, we've got muscles that have been disrupted, we've got skin that's been disrupted, and we need to give the body the building blocks to help it heal both of those. Everything we've already talked about for bones is actually really good for muscles. Okay, so that's rule number 1. But rule number 2, then we got to look at skin, because skin needs all of those things, but it has a couple of other things that are really, really important. Vitamin E with selenium is fabulous for helping the skin to heal without or with minimal scarring. Right now, I love that the skeletal strength has zinc in it because, and it did have zinc, yes, it did, because zinc is critical for skin healing as well. All right, so we're going to do vitamin E, and I would probably do, well, last year when I had all those surgeries, those 2 surgeries for my broken arms, I was doing routinely 800 IUs a day. All right, and truly, the doctors have been so impressed with how very little scarring I've had with this. It's really quite amazing. Like you'd have to know where to look to find the scars, which is really exciting. HSNW is a product, stands for hair, skin, and nails. And in the States, oh, I forgot to look this one up. Give me just a half a second. while I try to see if I can find HSNW, what the name of that product is in the state. It might be called it might be called Hair, Skin, and Nails, but it might be called something else. Might be called something to do with minerals. It's similar to the Natria HSN complex, although I don't think that's it exactly. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, yeah, the very, very closest one we've got to this is the HSN complex from the Natria line, and that's product number 3505 for you. And this has in it horsetail and hyssop and rosemary and ginkgo and aloe vera. It's a different formulation here in Canada, but the same end result. And this is to provide a lot of silica to repair the skin with. Now, top secret here is this essential oil blend. This is the blend that I started applying as soon as the incisions were closed. Absolutely, I turned these oils into a little roller. Actually, I didn't roll them because I was afraid that would hurt. I did do an oil blend. I diluted these into some carrier oil, and a couple times a day I would put just a few drops of that in the palm of my hand and just kind of smush it onto wherever it was needed. And I'm absolutely convinced that this is a huge part of what helped to heal. And if you, at any time, if you need a recipe for this, let me know. I know that some of these oils are on the more expensive side, particularly the rose, the frankincense, and the helichrysum. I'm here to tell you that those are oils that it is well worth having on hand. They are oils that do not go rancid quickly, which is a good thing. And they are so useful as first aid type of oils. Okay, so really beneficial. Other things, now I like to use color therapy for things. And so when I've got someone who's got a broken bone or who's had surgery and the skin needs some help, again, stay as active as possible, but use color therapy. When we do color therapy, we want to use red for bones, green is the master healer, and you just make a little light to put the proper color of color gel in front of that, the ones that have the right wavelength, and you just let it shine on you for time, right? And this really does help with healing, uses a different vibrational frequency, or it uses energy on a different plane, if you will, to help healing. So if we've got the right nutrients going in, if we've got you staying active, if we've got you shining the light on, and it doesn't matter if the light can be directly on or not, and I'll explain what that means in a minute. These are all things that help. So for example, if you've got a broken bone and it's in a cast, or you've had a surgery and there's a dressing on the wound and you're not to take the dressing off yet, shine the light on you, right? Because that energy is going to permeate your whole body and it's going to help your whole body, not just the exposed parts. All right, so important, just another sidelight of things that we can do to really help with the healing. So some more good ideas. We can do an ionic foot bath. So if you have access to an ionic foot bath, this is brilliant. The rule of thumb is typically to do an ionic foot bath every other day. Not every day, but every other day. People always think of these ionic foot baths as being for cleansing. And I want to say that, yeah, but the gunk in the water isn't the important thing, right? Because I've run the foot bath with feet in it and without feet. When we owned our cabin, I ran it out there with feet and without feet. And of course, I ran it here in Calgary with feet and without feet. And out at the cabin, the water never turned a different color at all. And even with feet in it, it looked pristine when we were done. Here in Calgary, where we have a very high mineral content in our water, and we've got it's a high calcium content here out of the cabin. It's a high iron content, I think. I might have that backwards. But here, the water for everybody turns rusty, orangey brown, and we all get scummy stuff on top. My belief is that that is more a reaction of the electrical current with what's in the water, not because my feet are in there. Okay, I don't care what the color the water turns. This is like with iridology. I don't care that the eyes don't change color. What I care about is, what does this do? What an ionic foot bath actually does is it feeds electricity into your body. Your body has an electrical charge. So it feeds electricity into your body to raise that electrical energy. And that peaks in about 24 hours, and then it starts to come down by the 48-hour mark. And this heightened charge in your body is what stimulates the body to cleanse. So that cleansing process isn't the 30 minutes your feet are in the water. That cleansing process is the next 48 hours. That heightened electricity stimulates the body to repair and heal. So for that 48 hours, your body is in a heightened healing mode. Okay. And that's why we do it every 48 hours. So every 2 days and not every day. Acupuncture can be very helpful as well. Now, there's different styles of acupuncture. There's the actual traditional TCM acupuncture, which is working with the meridians, which is very, very helpful. I also have experienced the more medical type of acupuncture where they're not working with meridians, but they're using the needles to make muscles relax. And it's a very interesting experience to have that happen. Very interesting indeed. When we're talking about soft tissue injuries, we're talking about tendons and ligaments. So tendons attach the muscle to the bone, and it's tough. They're fibrous, and they enable body movement. Ligaments attach bone to bone. Okay, these are long and stringy. They're made up of collagen. They stabilize joints, and they have a certain amount of stretchability. Does that make sense, what the difference is between a tendon and a ligament? If you've torn a tendon, especially, but I guess a ligament as well. Okay, so what I was going to say doesn't make sense. We're going to leave that one. A stretched ligament versus a torn ligament. So when you have a stretched ligament, it literally, you've just stretched it, which means you've weakened the fiber. But when you've torn it, you've broken some fiber. So the difference for healing is actually sort of the same. The tear, though, needs to be immobilized for a little length of time. And periodically in that immobilization period, there needs to be some specific manipulation and exercise happening. This is really the realm of a physiotherapist. So what do you do with this? You can go to a doctor or a physiotherapist who has an interest or a specialty in injuries of this type. And I suggest that your best option is a physiotherapist who specializes in sports medicine, because they work with this all the time, over and above a physiotherapist who is a general physiotherapist or someone who works more with car accidents or things like that. X-rays are usually insufficient to get a good diagnosis, because an X-ray is looking for hard tissue, not soft tissue. The diagnostic tool of choice here is an MRI, which of course has its long-term ramifications, but you still probably do need to get it assessed to see what the significant damage is. Emergency rooms are woefully inadequate for this because they're not going to run an MRI. An emergency room is for life-threatening things. So if you go in and you've got an ankle injury, they're going to x-ray it and look for broken bones. And if they don't see a broken bone, they're just going to give you an air boot or sell you an air boot and send you on your way. You really want to make sure, number one, that there are no broken bones. So the emergency room is the first step. But after that, you need the physiotherapist. You need someone who can then take you the next step for assessment, whether that's an assessment they do in their clinic or an MRI, and then you need someone who knows how to teach you how to tape it properly, how to support it properly, what kinds of exercises to do for rehab that will not encourage more damage. So important, so important. And the treatment here might include learning how to tape it to immobilize it, might include surgery. If you've truly torn the ligament, We're going to come back here. If you've truly torn this ligament and you have detached it right off the bone, it's likely going to need surgery in order to put it back together. You might be prescribed anti-inflammatories, including topical lotions, and you can certainly do that with essential oils to at least a certain extent. Physiotherapy, progressive exercise as dictated by the stage of healing. And I know this natural stuff works for this. Many years ago, I fell down the stairs. Yeah, stairs and I don't have a good relationship. We really don't. I missed the bottom stair, landed bending my ankle totally the wrong way, tore the ligaments right down here in my foot. This is not my foot, by the way. And couldn't actually get to the doctor that day because I was on my way out of town to teach for 2 days. So I went to the emergency room. They x-rayed it, said nothing's broken. Here's an air boot, just like I told you they would. And I went and I taught for 2 days. And then when I got back, I booked an appointment with my doctor who did a lot of sports medicine. He sent me to the physio who started working with me. And fortunately, that was the beginning of a very good relationship with that physio. I've used him a lot of times since then. And as he was working on my ankle and teaching me how to tape it properly and told me the air boot was the wrong answer, which was great. I just paid $125 for this thing, which I now was not going to be using. That's okay. We used it other times after that. We started working, and finally on about the third or fourth appointment, I got up the courage to ask, okay, tell me, how bad was this? I said, well, you had multiple third-degree tears. And I said, okay, so what does that mean? Third degree out of how many? He said, out of 3. I went, what do you mean? He said, well, you tore this right off the bone. I'm going, holy crap. And he said, most people who do this require surgery. And most people who have surgery never run again. And I looked at him and I said, read my lips, wash your mouth out with soap. I'm not letting that happen. I will do everything I need to and everything you tell me to. And so, of course, I was already doing the ionic foot bath twice a week. I was doing what he told me to do for immobilization, for stretching. I was applying the essential oils. I was doing light therapy. I was doing that intensive supplement program. And I was in to see him again because we developed a very, actually, if it was a love affair of a professional nature because he was helping me so much. And by the time we got to 5 weeks, I said, how am I doing? He said, you're doing very, very well. And I said, great. And he said, why? And I said, because I have a half marathon coming up. And he went, well, you're not doing it. And I said, oh, yeah, I am. I'm doing it. So from the date of injury to the date of the half marathon was 12 weeks. And he said, well, you won't be healed by then. There's no way. And so it's 5 weeks. I'm saying, Jared, his name is Jared. I said, Jared, I'm feeling really good. It's feeling really good. I'm going to try a little run. He said, whoa, okay, well, you're healing well, but I'm not saying you're healing that well. And I said, I'm just going to try a little run. Like, I'm just going to start from my house and go out for a couple of K at a gentle pace. I'll walk if I need to. If it starts to hurt, I'll call Howard to come pick me up. He said, okay, as long as you promise that if it starts to hurt, you're not going to run anymore. I ran 5K, which is 3 miles, a slow pace, but I ran it. And I went for my next physio appointment. I said, Jared, 5K felt so good. Felt so good in every way, like nothing hurt. He said, okay, well, be careful. So I just kept ramping it up. At 10 weeks, I said, Jared, I've got a half marathon in 2 weeks. I'm going to do it. He said, oh, just tell me you're going to walk if you need to. Tell me you'll drop out if you need to. I said, I will. I will. I said, this is too important for me to mess it up. I ran the half marathon. It wasn't my very best time ever because I was cautious, but I ran it and I've never looked back, right? So can you heal these things? Yes. I didn't need surgery. I ran again, it was great. Other things we can do. ARTA with devil's claw. This is all about anti-inflammatory stuff, right? This is about taking inflammation down. Helichrysum, I've mentioned that once when we talked about the oils. This is, if you can only afford one oil for healing physical trauma, let it be Helichrysum. I don't know what the price is in the States. Here in Canada, it comes out to be about, I think it's $130 retail for 5 milliliters, which you think that's a lot. It is so worth it. I often will mix a few drops of that with the Taifu massage lotion. So I'll put the Taifu lotion in my hand, a drop or two of Healy, mix that together and apply that where I want it. And it is just a miracle in a tube. What about bruises? Broken bones, torn ligaments, popped tendons, all produce bruising at some level. Bone bruising is possibly the most extreme form of bruising because it is one step before a break. Bone bruises can take 18 months to heal. Okay, so because when you've got the bone bruise, you've actually got blood seeping into tissues inside the bone that are not meant to hold that, and inflammation on the periosteum, and they are very, very painful. I've had a few of those in my life. How do you treat soft tissue bruising? Ice, start with ice, 15 minutes on, 45 minutes off for 2 days for all of your waking hours. Elevate the bruised area above the heart because you don't want excess fluid accumulating there. After 2 days, you can start applying hot packs on and off several times a day. So the ice is to take down inflammation. The heat is then to encourage circulation so you get all the right stuff in the area to help yourself heal. Then what do you do for bruising? Mullein. Mullein is it. Whether you're going to use the Nature Sunshine mullein in capsules and open those up, or go and wildcraft this, or buy it in bulk. I actually buy it in bulk when I'm doing this kind of stuff because it takes so much and it's tedious to open the capsules. So you're going to mix the mullein with castor oil to make a cookie dough paste. Smear that onto a piece of diaper flannel and then pack that. I actually don't do it this way. This is not me. This is a picture I curated off the internet. I actually will put this right against my skin, put the mud on my skin and put the flannel around the outside because I want everything that this poultice has to offer to help me. And what this does is it will draw the bruise out through the skin. Okay, and so once you've wrapped that, you're going to wrap it. Once you put this on with the flannel to back it, you're going to wrap it in plastic wrap. You're going to put a hot pack on it to keep it warm because that's going to keep it giving up its nutrients into your skin. You can add comfrey or lobelia to this to make it stronger. You can add helichrysum as well, of course. And this will help to draw the bruising out through the bone. I've actually seen that happen. Other things, again, stay as active as possible. We've heard that before. We want to use color therapy here as well. For the first 2 days, you want to use blue because blue takes down inflammations of all kinds. Then after that, you want to use red to bring energy into the area and to help clean out the metabolic debris. Because there's a lot of metabolic garbage when we're healing, and sometimes it can get stuck or get make an area be sluggish. We want to keep that moving really, really well. So some more good ideas for bruising. Oh yeah, the ionic foot bath. Yep. And the acupuncture. So I'm going to tell you another story just before we hit our last slide and wrap up. Years ago, it'd be like 15 years ago, I guess, one of our sons, was working a summer job. He was in university. He was newly married, working a summer job, and it was hauling junk, working for a junk hauling company where they'd load it into a truck and take it to the dump. In the process of this, he was loading something very heavy onto a truck with the help of another fellow, and his thumb got caught between the side of the truck, the pickup truck, and the thing, and it literally crushed his thumb, totally crushed his thumb. He went for x-rays, and the doctor who did the x-rays and put him in a splint made an appointment for him with the hand clinic because he said, you've turned that last bone in your thumb to oatmeal. There's no way that's going to heal. This is going to need reconstructive surgery. So, my son didn't tell me this. He's married. He's not going to come running to mommy with every little problem. So after about 3 weeks, he called me. He said, Mom, I think I need your help. And I said, why? What's going on? And he told me what it was. And I went, oh my goodness. Okay. So, sweetie, you know how much I love you. You and I now have a date. Every other day, you're coming over to do foot baths, but we're going to put your hand in it. Not that that makes it any stronger. It just feels good, right? So we did that. We put him on a regime of supplements, the skeletal strength, and a few other things. And he went to the hand clinic at the 5-week mark. So he did the damage. 3 weeks later, he's coming to see me. 2 weeks later, he's going for more x-rays. And the doctors at the hand clinic looked at it and went, oh, yeah, we don't know why you're here, because this bone is healing beautifully. Like, it's totally great. And yeah, you're actually ahead of schedule. For the amount of damage that we see in the first x-ray, we would have thought you would have been behind, but you're actually ahead of schedule on your healing. You're doing very well, right? So between the ionic foot baths, I think I maybe sent him home with some color work to do, and the supplements, we actually got him totally on track, and he healed up beautifully. A little bit of nerve damage that, of course, nerves take a longer time to regenerate and to heal, but still, he's getting it totally back. And then, like I said, the nerves can take years to heal. Food choices, lots of leafy greens, lots of nuts and seeds, lots of vegetables. So we need lots of alkalizing, mineral dense foods going in. What do we want to avoid? Coffee, tea, green tea, refined carbs, artificial sweeteners, and anything that's devitalized. You know, when I was growing up in a very non-holistic home, the rule of thumb was whenever I was unwell with anything, Dad would come to me before he went to work in the morning. He was a school teacher, and he taught, his school was close enough to home that he could come home at lunchtime to check on me. And he would say, as he left in the morning, is there anything you need? Now, back in those days, growing up in, like I said, in a non-nutritionally oriented home, a very medically oriented home, the thing that I needed was a chocolate covered Long John. Okay, if you know what that is, it's a donut that's not a donut, but it's done oblong, then it would have chocolate icing on it. And so as Dad was leaving in the morning, he'd say, sweetie, do you need anything? I'd say, oh, I need a chocolate covered Long John or a glazed donut. There was a bakery on the way home between his school and our home. He would stop and he would pick me up the treat, and I would eat it because I had no idea about healing. Right now, I would definitely not do that. I would definitely not do that. If someone offered me that, I'd go, no, that's not going to help the case. Thanks for offering. And if they kind of dropped it on my doorstep, it would go straight into the garbage. And it would be a case of, now what am I going to do? Well, I think I'm going to go and have myself a little handful of almonds. I'm going to make myself a protein ball that has hemp hearts and chia seeds and some collagen powder in it, because that's tastier than a Long John and it's better for me, right? So, yeah, so we just need to remember that that our bodies are self-healing. They heal better when we take good care of them. Accidents will happen. Sometimes surgery is necessary. And when these things do happen, we can help our bodies heal so much more effectively by giving them the right building blocks. And now, hopefully, we've built on any knowledge you already had and have filled that in some, so that you've got some more ideas of how you can help speed up healing when it's needed, and how you can help people heal more effectively when it's needed. Thank you so much for being with me today. I hope that's been helpful for you, and hope you've enjoyed it. And we will talk to you later. Bye for now.